What's up, everybody? My name is Albion, and today I'm going to be going over Chapter 8, which is basically the formation of our solar system and how it came to be. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible, and I'm in my car because my house is super loud. So, yeah. Basically, around 4 to 5 billion years ago, it was just dust and a huge cloud of gas that was floating around in space. And scientists would call this the solar nebula, and something like maybe a star near it or something like that exploded, and basically kind of triggered like a domino effect into forming our solar system. But what first happened is that this explosion triggered the solar nebula to collapse under its own gravity. And as it collapsed, it did three things. One thing was that it kind of like formed into like flattened into a disk. It was super hot, and it would also spin really fast. And in the middle of this disk, if anybody could take a guess, would be our sun, which is why it's super hot in the middle. But the inner part, because the inner part was so hot because of the sun, you couldn't really have any sort of ice or anything like that. So mainly it was just rock and metal just floating around. And as time went on, they sort of clumped together and they formed the planets that we know today, that are like Mercury, Venus, Mars, and even our planet Earth. But as you start going further out, though, it starts to get less hot because you're farther away from the sun, and that means ice would be able to form. And that's how we got these bigger planets like Jupiter and Saturn, which are gas planets, but they were also like really cold. But not everything became a planet. There's still some leftover metal and rocks, and we would just call these asteroids as they just traveled aimlessly. Asteroids and comets. But there was a time where it was called the heavy bombardment, and a lot of these asteroids would crash into planets, even our own. And that's kind of the theory of how water came to be on Earth. Some sort of asteroid, I guess, brought water to Earth. And how do we know all of this, or how do we think this is what happened? Scientists used a thing called radiometric dating. So basically, they found these old rocks and they measured how the atoms decayed in these meteorites, old rocks. And the oldest one that they were able to find was about 4 to 5 billion years ago, which tells us, supposedly when the solar system began. So, yeah, we're basically living on a planet that was made from gas and random chaos that just somehow turned into what we call Earth today. Kind of crazy if you really think about it. Thank you for watching.